the gray coupe, you know, coupe.
That was a Chevrolet. That was about 31 Chevrolet.
But his mother was so large, you know.
31.
And I was sandwiched in the middle.
31.
Now, let's see, we've covered
We went up to the
war.
turkey farm on that, you know, his mother was here. And we were invited up to Peter and Catherine, the turkey farm.
Also, well, what did you do on some of the dates? You went skiing and then you went on some trips?
Yeah, we went to Crystal Cave and we went on picnics. And sometimes we just went on walks to Eagle Rock. See, now that's very modish, you know, to go on a jog or an outing. Those days we did it because we didn't have a car.
When you were dating, did you have to talk more in Norwegian together or more in English or both?
Oh, I think it was half and half because he was learning it and he was anxious to learn. Initiative.
Now you, after you got married in 1940 and Dad went off to
The Coast Guard.
Fort Tilden, the Coast Guard, and you were working for the school board until 1946, and then I came along. Somewhere in there you decided to build a house up on Birchwood Avenue.
That's right.
And tell us about that. How long did it take? And,
We
how did
bought the 40 feet from Mr. and Mrs. White. My father had built their home, and they had 40 feet, and then from Keller and Otto we got the additional 20 feet. And that was a thrill to think that we owned our own plot of land.
How did you select
Every
Birchwood
time we went up Northfield Road, I would say lump of dirt, because when the war was on, we decided that we weren't going to get used to two salaries, that we were going to save the one, and you know, not get in the habit of having two salaries. So, however it worked, the lot cost $1,100, and we had saved that money in a year.
When did you break, or let me ask you first, how did you pick Birchwood Avenue? I mean, your father had
We
built
drove.
the White's
No,
house?
we drove all around. He didn't want to be in Pleasantdale with all the other Scandinavians. There were so many of them.
Well, I can understand that.
And so St. Cloud was the place to be.
That was rather fashionable.
Well, Alice told me after we bought the lot, she says, I hope when you move there, she said that you'll have some decent hats. And you know, nobody wears a hat nowadays. It was the funniest
And yet-
requirement.
You have some new hats and 6 inches of water on the bat and the bat.
Toilet bowl.
The toilet bowl.
But there were a lot of school people up there too, you know, Mr. Bender and they used to call it, what was it, education, Gregory School,
They
they
used
called
to call
it.
it the Mortgage Hill section of West Orange.
No, that was the Gregory Avenue section. And then our section was called the education area. You know, Mignon Johnson was there. And there were a lot of other teachers too.
When you broke ground up there, what houses were already there? Mr. Saunders?
Only
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Palmer, that's all.
And then how about up there on the corner,
Yeah,
the
that
White's
Yeah,
house
Mrs. White
in?
was there, right.
How about the Frank
And the
house?
Taft house was there.
Taft. What about where the Franks used
Frank
to
house was there, yeah, but it wasn't on Birchwood Avenue. On our block per se. We had the great big tree in the middle and the great big boulder.
Where was that
And
tree?
Mr. Glass
It was right in the middle.
Where
And
though? In front of Glazer's?
A car was going to go through to Palmer's. You couldn't park your car there because another car couldn't get through.
Where was the tree though? In front of Palmer's?
It was right in the middle of our lot.
No, middle of the road.
In the middle of the road, yeah.
So when did that tree come down?
During a hurricane.
Well, about when?
No, it was cut down.
They were going to put in the curbs and you
It
know,
was
pave the
put
street.
a pretty big oak tree. The town took it down.
Now, when did you break ground on the house? And also, let me ask you.
This is getting very detailed. We were
Yes.
going to break down in February, but he had an operation.
I broke down. We broke
Started-
ground in about April.
April of when?
48.
But in February, he had an operation where he had this, the milk gland suddenly developed.
Oh, I seem to
Yeah.
remember that. Maybe we could just pass on that.
No, let's go into detail.
Well,
Not
the,
detail.
the doctor said,
He
watch
was
it for
in
2 weeks. And if it's still up in 2 weeks, come back.
I broke ground in
The
April,
surgeon.
and she left town for Cleveland. She left town. I think Alice took care of.
April of 48, you said.
Yes, April of 48.
Okay, the ground was thawed and you were able to start work on the basement.
Yeah.
And it must have been pretty remote back there. Mr. Palmer's house was the only house.
Oh, Mr. Glasser's house was there too.
Oh, Glazer's house.
Yeah, that was there too.
But in May, we had the heaviest rains in 75 years, and so building was delayed. It was
Well,
like
we
a
had a
little
lot of
late
rain
there.
that summer.
Yeah. But
So
I
they-
took you up on the bus. I remember going, down Llewellyn Avenue and getting on the bus, getting off at Northfield, waiting for the other bus, and then walking in, We didn't have a second car those days. But it was Saturday afternoon and he was working there. We wanted to see the progress.
Those days, most people had one car and a bike.
That makes sense.
That was the transportation.
I don't
Just
remember
like
the
today.
bike.
I've got one car and a bike. Well, actually, a couple of bikes.
Yeah.
Now,
Anyhow, the house was built in November.
And who designed it? Was it Mr. Saunders or was
Well,
it
yes,
canned
but
plan?
we had a rough sketch from a book. He made some alterations. He's the one that put in the big kitchen window. And he put in those special bathroom windows that we have. And we reversed the whole thing to have the driveway first.
Flip-flop.
Yeah.
So, how long did it take to build the house?
We moved in the end of November and we had a party for 17 people on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve of 1948.
Yes, but that Christmas Eve that night I had 7 men working in the house during the morning. And I washed the whole dinner set from the lavatory sink. It had been packed down, for a few months.
These were Norwegian carpenters mostly?
No,
Scabs? Union?
there was cabs.
So it took less than a year to build it.
Oh, yeah, you could put up a house in 3 months if we hadn't had the rains and so on. But he did it on his spare time. He had a
That
regular
didn't
job.
include all the finish work, cabinetry and molding and all
Well,
that.
I didn't have water for 2 months in the kitchen. I threw the dishwater out the window,
But we had 6 inches of water in the toilet.
Excuse me, when you threw the dishwater out the window, was William Beeseth crouched down below the window?
No, it was just mud and
It
dirt.
was just that one time at Llewellyn Park that
Yeah,
he got
yeah.
wet.
But I remember getting the whole dinner set ready and having 17 people, both for the dinner and then for, coffee clutch at midnight.
Midnight. Is that
Oh, yeah,
the
the
tradition?
Norwegians. Yeah, well, they always,
Oh.
But it was our first Christmas in our own home. It was a big thrill, yeah.
Did I ask you about meeting your mother's parents?
Yeah, you did, I never met them.
You never met those?
No, my grandfather married a 3rd time, and there was always feeling between the daughters. See, he was married to a woman first, and had Tante
I
Dorothea.
hope so.
Then she died. No, but then he married her sister. See, so Tante Dorothea was a half-sister. And then when his second wife died, he was a widower for many years, and he married somebody called Nora.
Oh, no.
Lived in Sugna, and she was never friendly to the daughters. And my mother and Tante Nana, they always had great feeling, and